Oh, hello there, and welcome to the next vlog in this series, the second to last vlog and the last stop on my trip 2019, as you see me in Portugal going to Porto. In the last vlog, you found me in the Portuguese capital of Lisbon. I took the train from Lisbon to Porto. It took a few hours. It was a pretty smooth, comfortable ride, and although there doesn't seem to be much in the way of high-speed rail in Portugal at the moment, it was as good a way as any to get up the coast. The city's principal landmark is this Louis I Bridge, which is this amazing metal bridge which is on two levels. The top level is where the trams cross, and down below is for the cars. Pedestrians can cross on both sections, and it's quite a tall bridge. If the views from the bridge were impressive, you also get just as good views if you take the Teleférico de Gaia, which is a gondola / cable car kind of deal just on the south side of the Douro River, and it's highly worthwhile taking it down to the bottom and indeed back up the top to prevent you having to walk up a pretty steep hill. Nearer to the centre of town, the Clerigos Tower provides fantastic views again across Porto, and is also attached to a monastery, which is quite interesting if you want to have a look at a nice church there. It does take a little while to get up the tower because people are limited in the tower to 100 at a time, so there's quite a long queue waiting to get up and see the views, and it's quite the squashy tower to climb up to, I should warn you. Set not far from the market, the Bolsa Palace, or the Palacio de Bolsa, is one of the most beautiful buildings in all of Porto, and one I would highly recommend. It was built in the mid-1800s, and it encompasses a couple of styles, and you can get a tour there quite regularly as well in English and other languages, and highly recommended. The Livraria Leo seems to be one of the most popular places to go in the whole town. It's a bookshop, an old bookshop with some beautiful staircases, and it's absolutely packed. In fact, you have to buy a ticket next door to get in for €5, which is refundable if you buy a book. You get it off the cost of your book. It's famous because J.K. Rowling actually spent some time there when she was writing Harry Potter back in the 1990s, and I think some of the buildings that feature in Harry Potter are actually inspired by this amazing place. It is, of course, packed with tourists. And so if you're wondering which came first, Port or Porto, the answer is Port. And this is where the history of the city is really interesting, because it's actually tied to the United Kingdom because a few centuries ago now, the British were getting a bit annoyed with the French, there was a tariff imposed on French wine, and so British entrepreneurs were looking for another place to source their wine, and they ended up in Porto, Portugal, and they discovered that the wine that was made there was a real strong, fruity sort of wine, which we know is port. It's more fortified, and apparently that appealed more to the British tastes. So not only do you surprised to see a number of wineries in Porto, and they all have tours, which is fantastic, and we took a tour of one of them. But they've all got like British names, and they're all connected to British companies and stuff. So if you're in Porto and you have any interest in wine or whatsoever, or even if you don't, it's not a bad idea to take a little tour of a winery, and you usually get a couple of free samples at the end. And it's a really nice way to spend a couple of hours, and it's something that seems to be ingrained in the town of Porto, which was named after the wine. Thank you very much for joining me today. Yes, that was Porto, the last stop basically on my journey. I whiz back to Lisbon and then I fly home. And the journey home plus a few summations and summaries and thoughts on the whole thing will be coming up in the next and final vlog from this series. So I'd like to thank you very much for joining me, of course. I hope you're doing well. Look after yourselves. Don't forget, please like, share and subscribe, as they say. And I guess I'll see you next time. May the journey never end.